are live, and I am not going to stay on for very long. And I always say that and end up being on for like 40, 60 minutes, whatever. But what's up, everyone? Happy third. Oh, there we go. I was waiting for that. Minutes, whatever. But what's up, everyone? Happy third. Gotta mute myself. I don't want to double talk myself. So, what's up, everybody? This was a planned live stream, but I realized that it is the holiday, the rewrite history holiday, where we pretend that the white European colonizers made friends with the Native Americans and they had a Thanksgiving to celebrate their treaty of peace after the colonizers killed many of the people who lived here before and stole their land. But I think that there's always a reason to be happy on days like this. I mean, I'm thankful every day. I don't need a holiday to be thankful, actually, because I'm thankful every day. I think if you operate with as close as you can to the spirit, the holiness of God, there's much to be thankful for every day because you feel the blessings, you feel the strength during turmoil. I personally have a lot to be thankful for. But anyways, and don't mind that boiling sound. That is my collard mixed with mustard greens. And no, I did not wash them in the bathtub. I washed them in my sink, right? And they have my special sauce. But anyways, if you missed this live stream, you are welcome to catch it on the replay. But I want to get into this because I'm going to talk about two topics. And then I'm going to be on my way. Hopefully, by the time I finish this live stream, my collards will be done and I can be on my way to my sister's house. But anyways, you guys, so I happen to be catching a live stream from Six the Goddess. And she was talking about Tucker Carlson. And, obviously, Tucker is not happy right now. A lot of your old school, more moderate Republicans, right? They're not happy with the Republican Party. I think that, if you are a loyalist to either of these political parties, you're probably not a very happy person just in general. You're probably very disappointed because obviously you have your faith and hopes in these structures of men. And so disappointment is always going to be a part of that cake. But anyways, Tucker has recently did an interview where he's kind of airing out some of his lamentations about the Republican Party. And he's actually giving grace to people like Nick Fuentes, who obviously the internet space has labeled Nick Fuentes as a white supremacist, a white nationalist. And, obviously, when you peel back the layers of what that means, it is a white man who is interested in white man's interests. Is that something that offends me personally? Not really, because America is a very self-interest nation. And because we're broken off into tribes and stuff, I don't care that white men, they're like, we want to focus on us. Where it becomes problematic is when they band together to inhibit other countrymen, other citizens into being able to achieve the same freedoms and to achieve the same things that they have. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go on some woe is Black American sympathy trip here because I don't do that victimhood shit. I don't care what color you are. But I am a very reasonable person here. And because I live in the Black American experience, I can kind of speak on some of the lamentations of my people as it relates to the coordination of white individuals in this country. Now, whether they were the white Christian or the white Jew, the coordination happened from both of them to inhibit my people. So now Tucker Carlson is kind of feeling it a little bit because obviously he's feeling like the Republican Party might have been hijacked. He's feeling like, the white man's interest is not a priority. He is upset that the white man has been coordinated against and narrated in the manners in which they have been narrated for quite some time now. But, especially in lieu of Barack Obama, and then Trump gets in and he inflames the white folks, and then the Democrats kind of combat the growing populace of MAGA by painting white people as indiscriminately evil and wicked and a danger to everybody in this nation, but specifically women, black people, and others. Right? So there's a lot of MK Ultra narration going on in this country. And it's just interesting to me to hear this white man lament. I mean, what Tucker is saying, you would think that these are black man's words, but yet these are coming out of a white man's mouth. What are you saying, Tucker?
Which is the idea behind MAGA.
Frustrated with the party's lies.
And shout out to
It's
the
about
Hill.
America First, which is the idea behind MAGA. America First. Just put your country first. By the way, that's the Fuentes. That's the actual Fuentes message. I'm not an expert on Fuentes. Okay, I interviewed him. But from what I can
And this
tell,
is this fair usage.
he is angry because he feels that the conservative establishment, Ben Shapiro all the way up to some idiot Republican senator, all of them are telling the same lie. We're on your side, but they're not. There's nothing more legitimate than that.
So notice Tucker automatically mentions Ben Shapiro, right? Because I think, what a lot of people don't like, some people just see conservatives battling. What I see is the white Jew and the white Christian battling, right? And obviously, there's enough coordination in the United States government right now where the white Christian man don't really have a chance. And I said this before, they have stood their ground, the white Christian man. The MAGA population is clearly a threat to the white Jew structure that battles with them, right? But now, you have this white Christian structure here who is, they're feeling it, right? They're feeling it because their dear conservative movement, their dear Republican Party has been successfully hijacked. And this is what a lot of people don't realize. Throughout mankind's history, since the dawning of governmental political structures, there have always been factions. There have always been factions of people, ideological factions, who have gained together. But within those factions, you have a bunch of glory whores, people who want to be that guy or girl, right? And a lot of times you have a lot of internal plotting happening within those factions. So with the Republican Party, we are seeing that internal faction arguing, going back and forth, political back and forth. And what's coming out is really the difference in ideological thinking here, right? Whereas, again, when we think about white supremacists in America, we're not thinking about the white Christian versus the white Jew. We're just looking at all of them indiscriminately. But when you look at their internal conflicts, it's undeniable that white supremacy in America boils down to the battles between the white Christian and the white Jew. Everybody else, like I said, is a casualty. And some of this have a religious founding. So you have the Zionist individuals, right? Zionists, Christians, they're not necessarily a reflection of all dominations of Christian. And that I think people need to be intelligent to know that there's a lot of sects, religious sects of things. So you have your Catholics, you have your Protestants, right? You have your Seventh-day Adventists, and a lot of these people, they take on the identity as Christians because they are what they believe to be followers of Christ or followers of Messiah, right? But, you have a lot of these Zionist individuals who use their religious idealisms, no matter how wrong they are, to influence how things in society operate, how people, perceptions, all that stuff, how it operates. And it's not just the Jewish people, the Christians do it too, because they have a lot of Zionist Christians. So the biggest threat to like Christianity right now is Zionism. And it's not the Jewish Zionism, it's the Christian Zionism. And so when you kind of look into the conflicts in the conservative party, some of these things that Tucker is lamenting about, it's very clear that the white Christian man feels under threat by something, someone, and the reoccurring theme seems to be Israel, pro Israel people. So it's kind of clear that it is the white Jew man that is keeping the white Christian man up at night. Hang on, let me do this. Mute that, because what is this? Oh, God. Nope, we don't want to hear you.
And Carlson isn't the only
part. There's a lot at stake. Maybe you should engage. I don't want to because I dislike him too much, and I dislike the people. But I'm glad that there are some people fighting for the soul of the party, whatever that means. Well, I know what it means. It means restating out loud why we're here, and we're here to make the country better for the people who live in it. Not for a foreign country, whatever that country is, and not for your donors, but for most people or everybody. Kind of try at least a little bit.
So Tucker is very frustrated with the modern Republican Party because obviously in their effort to have this American first ideology in the white Christian man's mind, that means that you are prioritizing this nation, the people in it, specifically the white people, right? And you're not involving our tax dollars with these foreign proxy wars just so that you can hijack other people's lands. And that's kind of where a lot of these moderate conservative people have their draw. So it is truly the moderate conservative Christian versus the Zionist Christian in these conversations. And Candace Owens' ass is not making it easy. Candace Owens has been going hard on Israel. I think separating from the Daily Wire, I think might have been some inspiration for her to go a little bit harder. But she's been going hard on Israel. And post Charlie Kirk's assassination, Candace has been going really in. And I think that a lot of things that Candace is revealing, it usurped with the FBI would like for those people to believe, right? They wanted people to believe that Charlie Kirk was assassinated because of some leftist ideological thinking, conversion, or whatever. But obviously, the more people outside of Candace even dug into these scenarios at the FBI, which nobody should trust. I mean, again, they're riddled with Zionists. I mean, they send cops to some of these local police stations with racist cops just so that they can create a scenario. Those people are demons, okay? The lineage of evil coordination. But anyways, though, Candace is now saying that, the president, the French government, has been coordinating against her. And she is fearful of her life, right? And she's putting that out there to the public because she claims that she has receipts. This bitch even... Now, Candace Owens is amazing. I'm going to ask you, girl, do you be tapping into Azalea Banks's sorcerer person? Because how the fuck you get the name of the assassin? How the fuck you get the name of the assassin? So Candace Owens is so brilliant, right? She know who about to take her out the game. Not only do she know who gonna take her out the game, obviously she know how much is on her head, right? And she knows the name of the assassins. And she even knows that one of the assassins that have been paid to take her out is an Israeli operative, right? Here's the thing. I try to operate with empathy with a lot of things. Okay, I really do. And I look at Candace Owens, and like I said this before, I said it before, nobody goes that hard for just a friend. I don't believe that Candace and Charlie were just friends. I think they probably fooled around. They probably meant a lot to each other, but just for the public optics of their party, their side, obviously he could never be with a black woman. That wasn't really the narrative that Charlie Kirk could placate to, because obviously he's operating with, hey, you got to keep these white supremacist, old white thinking people, interested. And obviously, and I said this before, Charlie Kirk was a grifter. Do I believe that Charlie Kirk was truly racist? No. I don't believe the man was racist. Do I believe that Charlie and Candace understood that race baiting was a way to profit? Of course. Charlie knew, just like Trump knew, that there was a segment of old thought in America that was not tapped into by either Democrats or Republicans, and they tapped into those, right? Candace has the same group. She has old thinking people. That's why she got to operate like a biscuit mammy. That's why she got to kind of talk shit about black people in a lens of helping black people, when really she just getting coins, right? I saw an interview with Candace Owens earlier, and she was talking about these OnlyFans girls and how she wanted to really help them, because she was like, I could have been an OnlyFans girl, right? That could have been me, right? When you just want to get somewhere so fast, right? I could have been an OnlyFans girl. And I'm thinking to myself, that means that you are willing to sell your soul to get somewhere fast. That you are conscious that you got to cut corners to get somewhere fast. Because I'm sorry, I'm a mom. All right, I'm a woman. I want to make money. I want to be sustainable just like anybody else. But I'm not going to fix my lips to say, oh, I could have been the OnlyFans girl. No, I'm going to be the bitch that's struggling before I'm out here disrespecting myself and my legacy. Because OnlyFans children, the products of these hoes, they have the highest bullying rate right now. People don't think about that shit. The OnlyFans girls, their kids, especially their sons, those boys are going to grow up to hate them. Those boys are going to grow up to hate their mothers, because their mothers have specialized in disrespecting them, from a very, very young age. You know what I mean? I was just, it was so funny because I was looking at this Facebook. This guy has this Facebook page where he like randomly walks up to couples and grabs the woman's hand. And, obviously the dude's getting a reaction. And he did it one time with a mom, and her son was right there. And the son is like, nah, man, back up. He was King Dad. She married. She was stopping. And it just reminded me of when my son was 3 years old. I'm out there talking to the neighbor next door. And I guess I was talking to dude too long, because he kept saying, mama, mommy, mommy. I'm like, okay, hang on, buddy. Here I come. Mommy, mommy. I guess I didn't come fast enough, because this dude literally locked me out of the house. My son, I couldn't get into the house. I had to get into my house through an open window. I had to climb into and it's funny to me that like boys are, if you're a good mom, your boy is going to feel inclined to have some kind of protection over you. And, that is normal. I had a woman like, oh, that's not a flex. I'm like, it is a flex. And maybe it's not a flex for you because you're not used to the nurturing and the inclined protection of a man. You're not used to a man feeling compelled to protect you. So when down to even a son protecting, his mom, it's not going to be a flex to you, because maybe some man has never felt compelled to be that protective of you. Bitches just be saying shit online. I can't stand these hoes. But anyways, off of that, Candace Owens, you cannot tell me that her and Charlie did not have a little thingy thing going on. I wish I had friends like Candace Owens that would just go to the depths of hell to figure out who the fuck coordinated to take me out of the game. But Candace already know. And like, here's the thing. She knows that there's no resolution to that. And I mean, honestly, she could be taking this personally, because she's like, not only did you take somebody out that meant so much to me, right? But I feel like through that type of assassination, you were sending a message to me. And, the thing is, when people want to narrate Candace Owens, she's a very, very ambitious woman. But I wish that people would stop looking at Candace Owens as the model wife, the model mother, because no mother will put her children's lives in danger doing the shit that Candace Owens is doing. No wife will put her family in. As a matter of fact, I don't respect Candace Owens' husband at all. When you talk about a beta male to the core, anytime you let your woman put your livelihood in danger, you are a weak man. You have no control over your life. So, your wife or your life at that point, because now your wife is getting death threats, and if she's getting death threats, you're getting death threats. That's the thing that people don't think about. Some of these people, if they can't get you, sometimes they can get you, but sometimes they'll touch somebody that's really close to you to fuck you up. And Candace is already seeing that. They touched Charlie Kirk for more reasons than him turning his position on Israel, for more reason than him having that conservative young base on lock and he was going to change their mind about Israel. I'm pretty sure they knew that Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk was really, really cool. And that goes back down to these conspiracies about Charlie's wife, which I think at this point, it's kind of fair to say she's not a grieving widow. She's not a grieving widow. And it does seem very suspect that Turning Point, all of these people in Turning Point USA, they're kind of just moving on and like, we're going to carry on Charlie's legacy. And they're just moving so many things too fast, including Erica, that this shit looks suspect. Like, it really do. If that woman didn't have anything to do with taking her husband out of the game, I really am not convinced, to be honest with you, because to me, y'all got kids together. You supposed to be a grieving widow. Let me see. This is like, okay, we're in November. Man haven't been even gone a strong 3 months, right? And you all over the damn place. I didn't expect to see that man's wife for months, right? Because she didn't owe anything to nobody to be out there doing what she's doing. And a lot of, her interviews just seem very performative. And like I said, a lot of people, they know that, like, her family, for example, supposedly very pro-Israel. Erica, very pro-Israel. Your donors, very pro-Israel. Charlie's the only one that seems to be changing his mind about Israel. And when you think about Turning Point USA, if they're losing donors, that means that Mikey and all them other motherfuckers at Turning Point USA, they're losing salary and money too. Right? Because the operations are based on the donors, right? If you don't have donors coming into your nonprofit, you ain't even though you can't profit, you can't run an operation like you want to, right? So I think that a lot, if the argument on the table is it was an internal job, I can believe it, because there was a lot of money on the table that was going to be lost if we didn't get Charlie under control. And they got Charlie under control. They neutralized his ass. And, in the process, they probably thought that, okay, Candace is going to be pissed off. She's going to be upset. She'll mourn it. And then everybody will move on. And Candace Owens was like, damn that. Damn that. He must have really dicked her ass down. Because she going hard. I don't think Charlie Kirk will go as hard for Candace Owens as she's going for him. And that's just what it is. But anyways, you guys, let me know what you think. Thank you, Makoto, for tuning in. And thank you. I just twisted it fresh today, so I don't look like a ragamuffin today. So thank you. But let me know what you guys think. Poor Tucker Carlson, right? He's crying the black man song right now, right? He's talking about white man disenfranchisement. And what if you were said that you were this and this? And I'm just thinking, like, black people checking all the boxes of all his lamentations right now. I'm like, so basically, Tucker, you telling us that you know what it's like to feel black in America now? And even, it's like the victim Olympics for show. And when people want to talk about victimhood, they always want to put shit on black people. But it's like, y'all got to look at the victimhood in a broader lens. All these people playing the victim. All of these people playing the victim. You got Tucker Carlson on the mic in interviews, validating Nick Fuentes, singing the violin song of the white man who has been disenfranchised and his dear America that he felt like he built on the backs of indigenous people while he set his ass around doing what? Whipping people and raping them? Come on now. The white man is suffering right now, guys. And we need to be sensitive to that. So let me know what you guys think about Tucker Carlson, and then let me know about Candace Owens, putting out the accusations that the government of France that is not only suing her, but they're also planning her assassination. And this bitch is such a super sloop. She is so badass that she got receipts down to the name of the folks that's supposed to be taking her out of the game. Crazy. Fuentes and his people came out during Ellis Island era. Most of them did. Here's the thing. Let me go here. Nick Fuentes is a product of immigrants. Okay. All right. He's not a founding fathers type of. He's a product of immigrants, right? You got to think about the white folks that when you think about foundational white Americans, right? The foundational white Americans are the Europeans that came over here and they colonized, and then they used labor from other races of people, just like they've always done in history, to build this reality that we know as America. And so when you think about a lot of the people that were here at the founding, it was these colonizers, the Native Americans, and those black slaves that they were brought over, right? Those are the three, right? Native American, white, and white European, right? And then everybody else started coming, right? And even down to Donald Trump, right? These are products of immigrants. Henry Ford, products of immigrants, right? These are all people that weren't here during the colonization. They were beneficiaries of it, right? Just like you have these black looking immigrants, right, that come over. They're not part of the American founding of black Americans. These are beneficiaries of our plights and our struggles. And obviously, they couldn't use our people as slaves and they couldn't flex on us. So they had to bring in some other black looking people to do the shit that black people will now go to war with them over, right? There's a difference between a black American and a black looking person. And because we've seen the white colonizers so many generations, they ain't fucking with us like that outside of the economy, but they fucking with everybody indiscriminately on that front. So, it is what it is. But anyways, you guys, enjoy your day. I am making collard greens with an infusion of the mustard greens. Not sure if you guys can see this. Is this handle hot? Let me see if I can do this. Everybody does their collard greens differently. Me personally, I don't wash mine in the bathtub. I use my beautiful stainless steel sink to do that. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but these are collard greens mixed with mustard greens. All right. And you can see that lemon. First of all, when people talk about spices and seasoning and everything, I go all in. Like everybody does their greens differently, but you're gonna find raw honey in mine. You're gonna find garlic. You're gonna find onions. Okay, salt, pepper, red pepper. Right. We definitely and the key to good greens is that apple cider vinegar. Okay, if you don't put apple cider vinegar in your greens, I don't even want to talk to you. Like, I don't want to talk to you. All right, because the apple cider vinegar is what really makes the greens slap. And if you know your crowd, and they like the spice, the Frank's Red Hot sauce in the greens juice, okay, it's just great. All right, it's just great. So anyways, you guys, have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me know what you think about Candace Owens. One thing I will say about Candace Owens if these accusations are true, Candace is covering herself, okay? Because if you make accusation and say, okay, I know that there's a coordination against me, against these people, right? Like she's not going to be an unsolved mystery, just like she's ensuring that Charlie Kirk is not going to be an unsolved mystery. And because she has stirred the pot with this Charlie Kirk thing, it has really created that separation and division in that conservative party. And the good thing about them fighting is that they tell us things that we already knew, but they give us the validation. So, like when you hear the white Christian go after the white Jew and say, well, they paid Candace Owens to talk shit about black people and blah, blah, blah. And the white Christian is conscious that that is what she was paid for by the white Jew. And then you hear the white Jew talking about how this, that, or other, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's clear, not only their positions, but what they intentionally do to keep populations divided with their little narrations and their projections. So don't be MK Ultra'd, you guys. Like, these people, there is no side to be on. If you have a political party, I'm sorry for you. None of those people work in your interests. And, you just got to keep it moving. So I'm going to send that because I want to do it low. You know what irks me, just off cuff? I was just thinking about, I was looking at these young girls, and they're in the kitchen, and they're like showing women like their little happy recipes and stuff, right? And the one thing that really irks the hell out of me is when these young ladies are sawing fruits and vegetables and saying that they are cutting them, right? So, like, I have this onion here, right? And, you can tell by my hand motion, a woman that knows her way around the kitchen and she knows her tools, right? This is a little bit bigger than what I would normally cut, but you can see that the ridge is there. So, like, they'll be sitting up there sawing this onion, cutting it. And, I just want to tell all the young girls that are doing these types of videos online is you don't have to saw your fruits and vegetables, right? You get a good grip on your knife here, and it's really, the strength is in the wrist, baby, right? It's in the wrist, right? And so we're not going to saw this onion. We're just going to cut it, right? We want to cut it, right? We are not doing this with our onions, ladies, young ladies. All right. And I don't know if your mom or your grandma taught you how to cook or not, but we are not sawing our vegetables. We are using the right tool, and we're giving them a clean cut through. Okay. All right. And that's just my auntie moment for the young ladies. You guys have a wonderful, blessed day. Love your neighbors as yourself. If you would not disrespect or abuse yourself, do not disrespect or abuse your neighbors. Bye.